For over 60 years, The Sound of Music has been a family favorite on stage and on screen. The tour is coming to Broadway in Chicago October 21st through November 2nd. Cayleigh Capaldi plays the role of Maria in her first national tour. Congratulations, Anna. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, let's talk a little bit about The Sound of Music, maybe the first time that you saw it, connecting with the show, connecting with the songs. I mean, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I don't really remember when it was the first time I saw the movie. I know I was introduced to the movie well before I was introduced to the stage musical. Um, so I fell in love with, Julie Andrews and the magic of that movie from a very early age, watching it with my family and singing the songs, and it always had such like a warm loving feeling associated with that movie. So whenever I felt like I needed some comfort or a pick-me-up, I would watch that film. Um, and then as I grew older, I came to really appreciate the nuances of this story and the political circumstances and the political commentary that it takes on, and how well it does that, and how beautifully it blends this, you know, loving, warm nostalgia with the harsh realities of the world at that time, because it is a true story. Um, and it wasn't until I was really a part of this show that I truly came to appreciate that and understand that. I've never seen the stage show until I was in it, so it was, I think that was sort of a benefit in a way, because I was able to approach this material with very unbiased, sort of clear eyes, like with as fresh a perspective as I could bring to it.
Yeah, I mean, talk a little bit about, when you're performing certain moments, certain songs, looking into the audience, and obviously, you mentioned there's, this is obviously, a place of comfort for so many people, whether it's, a political reason, a nostalgic reason, and just maybe, a theater reason. But when you see people connecting with certain moments of the show, I mean, what does that do for you and your soul?
I mean, it's the reason why I do this. It's the reason why I think a lot of actors do this. I think theater is the best medium in which to hold up a mirror to the audience and to
Yeah.
allow them to see themselves reflected, to allow them to examine who they are. It really strips away any exterior layers and encourages both the actor and the audience member to be their most vulnerable, truthful self. Um, and so it's really magical. Like I have people reaching out to me saying, this was the first show they've ever seen on stage before, which, is the biggest honor, because that's the next generation of theater goers and theater creators, and, hopefully people that I will be able to share the stage with one day, and watch on stage one day. And then also older generations bringing their children, their grandchildren, introducing them to this material that they've held near and dear to their hearts for so many years. Um, it's really such a great unifier, like music and theater itself is such a universal language. It really brings us together in the most beautiful way.
Yeah, and I always love, talking to somebody and seeing the origins of where they got, connected to, I know your mom originated a role in Chicago, in that iconic show. But there's also going to be people who are seeing you and be inspired by that. So like, was your mom your inspiration as far as getting into this field?
Absolutely. My mom and my dad, both of my parents are in show business. And my dad's family, stretching back many generations, were vaudevillians and theater owners and theater performers in Scotland and England and Italy. So it really runs deep in the blood. But absolutely, my mom and my dad, were my biggest and are my biggest inspirations as a performer. I like to say that I spent more of my childhood in their dressing rooms backstage than I did in a family home. So it
That's a
was
good place to be. That's exciting.
yeah, it was really a time for me to observe and learn and um incorporate into my own hopes and dreams.
And you mentioned England. I mean, as far as you performing in the West End, off Broadway, regionally, how's that different or kind of similar to doing a national tour?
Oh, it's very different. It's very different. I don't think one is necessarily better than the other. I think both have their incredible benefits. I love touring because so far I love touring. This is my very first tour, as you said. And what I love so much about it, why I feel so passionate about the fact that we need touring and we will always need touring, is that not everyone can afford or can feasibly make the trip to New York, to the West End, to see a Broadway or West End show. But if we can bring that caliber show to people's front doors, that's such a wonderful service and such a wonderful way to reach out and show people that theater is a common ground. It's not just something for elites or for people who can afford it, which is unfortunately economically the way that Broadway tends to be heading in nowadays. But theater is really for the people, by
Yeah.
the people, for the people, and especially a story like this, which encourages us to, you know, one of the themes in the show is leaving behind what is comfortable in order to stand up for what you believe in.
Yeah.
And I think in a way, touring encourages us to do that by, leaving the comforts of home or being in one place behind and reaching out to people directly to inspire them.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, especially when you look at the character of Maria and probably how you probably view that character as a young person and as a performer. And obviously, there's parents and grandparents that also view that maybe as a certain time in their lives or a person that they aspire to be. I mean, talk a little bit about not necessarily the pressure, but that opportunity to be able to bring that to audiences, across the country.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, Maria is such a beloved, iconic character. Um, and there's no denying that, Julie Andrews, Mary Martin, they are the blueprints. And so rather than ignore their incredible performances, I wanted to honor their performances and find, inspiration in their performances. At the same time, making it my own, and acknowledging that, 2025 is a very different year than 1959 when the first when the stage musical happened, or 1964, 1965 when the movie was released, and acknowledging that that's okay, and that there is a reason that the Sound of Music is still around and still loved by audiences and still so very fresh and relevant.
Yeah.
um, is that in 2025 we do need to hear a story like this, and I think the character of Maria is so inspiring, not just as a woman, charting her own path, finding her way in the world, and going on this journey of finding love and self-love and self-acceptance and family, um, but also, discovering what that means now. I think one of the really interesting relationship dynamics that takes on a very different tone nowadays is the relationship between the captain and Maria.
Yeah.
Um, it's a gorgeous love story. It's one of the most beautiful love stories of all time. But it's also really admirable that when you look at the period in which this piece was written, their relationship, they very much are on even ground. They are equals in their relationship. They are partners. And when that partnership is tested, they rise to that challenge together without subjugating one or the other or without trying to force authority on each other. They need each other and help each other through tough times and their family through tough times, which I think is a really wonderful dynamic to explore nowadays.
Yeah, and that's a nice reminder for people to see. Sometimes you separate what's actually going on in your life and in times around now and in the theater and things that you see on screen or on stage, and it's good to kind of connect those things together just to kind of give us that level playing field that we sometimes need to be reminded of.
Right. I mean, one of the best examples of that, it's a very subtle change, but it makes all the difference. And it's so interesting to hear how the audience receives it every night. Sometimes I hear little gasps, or sometimes I hear a little clap, or sometimes it's just dead silence in shock. If you are f familiar with the score, there's a 16 going on 17 reprise in which Maria and Liesel um, sing together and sort of connect about love, about being a woman, about growing up. Um, And the original lyric is, "Lo and behold, you're someone's wife and you belong to him." We have changed that lyric to, "Lo and behold, you're someone's wife and you belong with him." So it's just a subtle change, but it says so much
Yeah.
about it. Actually, I think, better properly reflects the relationship between Maria and the captain. There doesn't seem to be any belonging to each other. It's
Yeah.
belonging with each other.
Yeah, and especially too as you think of, how kids, when they first hear these songs and how they take these messages and they live with them, that an audience member who's going to hear that now is always going to hear that with lyric and carry that as opposed to maybe something else and maybe have a different perception of how love should be or relationship should be. So that's a very powerful small transition, but a very, very powerful one.
Yeah, that's such a good point. It really, words have
Yeah.
so much power and they have so much meaning, and to be a part of influencing someone for the good is a real gift.
And especially too, I mean, obviously there's a through line between Maria and Elsa and Mary Poppins and Cinderella and Rose from Titanic, which is one of my I could talk to you for about 3 hours. That's one of my favorite shows of all time.
Yes, I'm so happy it was in Chicago. Yes.
And we had a long period of time for that. I mean, that was here for several months. I got to see it several times there. But just getting to play these characters and once those shows finish and kind of what a little piece of them that you take with you as you're getting ready to bring the show to Chicago.
Oh, that's beautiful. I always try to take away what I can from these characters. I mean, it's pretty easy because I've been blessed to play some incredible characters so far. I always carry, the confidence and the unapologetic unapologetic authenticity of Celine.
Yeah.
Um, that has really, honestly, that's transformed my own confidence in ways that I can't even begin to express that role. Because you have no choice but to be that role. And sometimes, the direct interaction with an audience, the improv of it all, you have to fake it till you make it, fake that confidence, even if you don't feel it. And
Yeah.
eventually it becomes real. And I have taken that into my own personal life for the better. Um, Same with Elsa, I think Elsa and Maria, oddly, are kind of similar. Um, they are these two women who are forced to try to conform to the systems around them, to what other people tell them is best for them. But it's not until they really embrace their uniqueness and their individuality that they find who they are and they accept who they are.
Yeah.
And it is what wins the people around them over eventually, Maria and her family and Elsa and her sister.
That is amazing. Okay, thank you so much for your time today. Sound of Music, Nederlander Theater, October 21st through November 2nd, BroadwayInChicago.com for those tickets. I'm glad you get to spend a couple of weeks here in Chicagoland, and thank you so much for your time today.
I cannot wait. I'm so excited to join you there. And beautiful, beautiful interview. Yeah. Thank you for your lovely questions.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you too.